So good evening, good evening, good evening. We are back again. James La, how are you, mate?
Leela, marvellous, mate. Marvellous. Love the over-exaggerated Scouse accent every single time that I pop into one of these streams.
Is
It's
it a good
beautiful.
Scouse accent, though, James? Is it good?
It's definitely not the worst I've ever heard, and that's not me patronising you. Genuinely, I hear some absolutely atrocious attempts. Now, if you want to compare that to the perfect Scouse accent from a non-Scouser, it's probably not close to there. But is it better than 75% of attempted Scouse accents? 100%. Maybe even 80. So, fair play to
Oh,
you.
well,
Yeah.
I'm
Take that
kind
with
of
pride.
proud of that. Thank you, mate. I'll take that. I'll
My
take
G.
that. How you been, though, man? You been good?
Sick, happier now because setup's fine, Wi-Fi's fine, you can hear me fine. I'm a baller. I'm a huge deal now. So, yeah, mate, happy days. And I can actually do content without having to worry and go outside and whatnot.
No, that's good, man. That's good. And it's always nice when you're settled as well, mate, because when you're happy, the content's better.
Tell me.
But listen, there's a few things we're going to talk about. Man City, obviously, we'll come to that in a bit. I want to talk about Man United first, though. We
Yeah.
see late last night that the Emir of Qatar is looking to put a bid in for Manchester United. Some of the figures I've seen flying around for Man United is insane. 8 billion plus a rejuvenation of the stadium and the setup and all the behind the scenes stuff. Obviously, the stadium's falling apart. It's a stadium I've never been to. I refuse to go there. It's a dump, and you're all like sardines in the away end, so I just refuse to go. And every time I've had tickets, I've given them away, literally. But I literally refuse to go to their stadium, mate. Whilst on the other side of Manchester, their stadium is kind of nice. It's got plastic seats. Not really too much of a fan of plastic seats, but at the Emirates, they're kind of a little bit posher, the seats. But for the area, Man City have rejuvenated the whole side of that part of Manchester, all the stadium, training grounds, etc., etc. Then we see after the Emir of Qatar's put his hat in the ring, we've seen a Saudi investment group want to come in. Bro, is this going to be curtains? Because Man United are already a massive powerhouse financially, even with the Glazers stripping all the money out the club. They can compete financially, even with the Glazers being their owners. If they get either of these consortiums or groups or individuals come in, is that curtains for the rest of them? Because if they run it right, like Man United should be run, and get the best people in the best positions, rejuvenate the stadium, even build a new one, do all the behind the scenes work, the training grounds, the youth setup, and that is that the end for everyone else? Like, or is there? Is Newcastle going to have a say, or Liverpool going to have a resurgence if they get a new owner, or Arsenal going to be there still?
Liverpool aren't even in the conversation right now in terms of like the near future. I think the way it works for United is that, listen, if they get new owners, it probably doesn't actually change much to the on the pitch structure. Now, does it change the stadium? Yes. Facilities? Yes. The only thing is the decision making. So really, the one thing that has to improve, whether it's the Glazers or whether it's, I don't know, fucking Barney the dinosaur. Say if Barney the dinosaur wins the lottery and he goes and takes over Man United, but his decision making is better than Woodward. Boss, and he goes and hires actually decent board of directors. He then hires a decent manager, opposed to shit managers, and trying to give club legends a chance for no goddamn reason when you're trying to compete and you're Manchester United and you've got to win those trophies. But I do think the financial power's been there. It's got the club into debt. It's got the club into shit. But they've still been able to get those resources. The only way now is... Or the only concern now, and it's the same with Newcastle, and now we're seeing it with City, is like all the breaching and stuff like that. And I think that's why the Premier League's currently trying to make a thing out of City right now. It's just kind of like, listen, if these ownerships are going to be taken part and they're going to be huge and multiple clubs are going to have them, we still need some control. We still need to try and find... listen, there's always going to be teams that are bigger than others in the Premier League, but we still need to try and find some sort of competitive balance throughout the whole league. Never to suggest that the bottom team's going to be as good as the first, but it gives them the same opportunities to just start a building block. I don't know. I think because financial fair play is getting reinforced next year as well, or changed or whatever have you. It's going to be interesting. But like you said, Newcastle, we don't know how much they're going to go further. City, right as of right now, they could either still be... They could come back next year as City with a great squad and get rid of some players and bring in some players, or they could be in Football League 2. But you've still got Chelsea there who are spending. You've got Man United. You've got Newcastle. So I think it's still going to be a competitive league. It's just the finances are going to be elevated. The true separation I don't even think it's the teams in the league. I think the Premier League are going to find a way to still keep it similar to the way it is now. I think the true separation is this league in comparison to others, which I think you've already been seeing in recent time as well.
Yeah, this is a good comment as well. Reports are saying that Beckham's going to be the face of the Qatar takeover. Qatar had
What?
him as the brand ambassador for the World Cup. The guy who handed Messi the trophy and put the robe on him is the guy that's looking to buy Man United. It's that guy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the guy. He's their wealth, the family wealth, is apparently $335 billion.
Is that more
Like,
than Newcastle? Or
no, it's half. It's half of what Newcastle is. I mean, when you're talking that kind of money, I mean, it's irrelevant anyway. I mean,
nah, don't it? And like, there's only so much money.
Newcastle's owners are worth nearly 650 million, so it's just over half of the Newcastle owners. Bro, this is like mad, crazy money. But like, it wouldn't surprise me if Beckham's going to be the face, because he was the face for the World Cup, for the brand ambassador for the World Cup. So the fact that he's obviously in with the Qataris already, and the fact that he's played for Manchester United and he's idolized by United fans, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, and it's clever marketing from them as well, because that gets all of it. Number one, the money side of it, because we know that that part of the world is just caked in money. They can never run out of money. Yeah, so that side's going to get all the United fans up. But now to have Beckham as the face, it's a win-win for that lot. Like, I'm kind of Joe, I can't lie.
I'm trying to find all the negatives in this possible. I'm a Liverpool fan and I don't want United coming back, so trying to find the negatives in this is certainly something I'm fine with. Do you know these owners? Are they related to PSG in any way, shape or form? I'm not saying the owners, I'm just saying the owners that are looking to buy Man United, are they associated with PSG?
Yes, but I think it was Ben Jacobs put it out as well, a tweet saying, maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was somebody else. I can't remember. I think it was him. Basically, they're involved in some way, but if it's an individual purchase, not a consortium purchase, it's nothing to do with PSG. Yeah. So if it's the same, if there's 10 members that own PSG, but some of them have like a tiny little stakeholding in PSG, that's fine. They can go and buy another club. Yeah, from what I gather. I may be wrong on that. Man United fans in the chat, enlighten me if I've got it wrong. But if it's actually the whole consortium that brought PSG coming in to now try and buy Man United, they have to sell PSG.
Yeah. I'm here for vibes now.
One individual can go in there and just buy Man United.
I'm starting to understand like mid-table teams and the way they just mediocrity. I am. I'm just like, you know what, who cares?
We might both be down there soon.
Hey, listen, lads. Hey, the Conference League might have a bit of legitimacy to it in a few seasons, is all I'm saying. You know
Jose Mourinho made it fashionable, bro. Don't knock it.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I am saying, G. No, to be honest, lads, I don't know how the future looks in the Premier League. I don't know if it or how much it impacts the competitiveness between teams. You know, everything suggests that Newcastle should just go and do amazing things, and even with United getting new owners, I understand that they are like the more well-known club, the bigger club, and whatever have you. But don't fuck with Newcastle. Like the instant fuckeries that they've done is insane. And I think with the very little money that they spent under Mike Ashley as well, they were actually able to go out and buy a lot of these players. Of course, only time will tell. But now that they've got a good 11 already, they're way ahead of schedule, and they still haven't even spent like anywhere near, let's say, what Chelsea have spent or other team. Like they've still got a lot of room for finances and whatever have you, and they've had the perfect start. They seem like they've got the long-term coach, the long-term plan, some of the long-term players, but the 11 that they've got at the moment is doing more than the job. The system that they've got together is brilliant, and it's this early into the project. You know, they could win a trophy in a matter of weeks. Newcastle's the one who I've always said ever since the takeover, that's the team now you're going to have to watch out for, and City was the other one. But I still think it'll still be the elements of 2 or 3 teams competing for the Premier League, and it could change, because you don't know if we're going to get taken over you or whatever. Like, even if it's not now, let's say in 5 years' time, football changes like that, mate. You know what I mean? Like, Liverpool fans in 2019 were buzzing with FSG. In 2016, they hated them. 19 liked them, now they hate them again. Now they hate them again. So
our owners were hated a few years ago, and now we're talking about them. I want to share this. I found the tweets. It was Ben Jacobs. I found them. I want to share this and read this out here for anyone in the chat that's interested. Again, to clarify, QSI would not be directly involved in any potential bid for Man United. They remain committed to PSG. Nasser El Khalifi also sits on the QIA board and would likely be involved in some capacity should anything emerge. QIA sources say they are still assessing the market. So QIA and QSI are two different things, right? And it says sources have also repeatedly stressed any group or individual from Qatar would seek the blessing of QSI, which is PSG, due to how businesses of this nature work in that region work. So obviously, if they want to come and buy Man United, they're going to go to PSG and say, "Do you mind?" Like that's kind of mad. Qatar expects a Saudi consortium from the private sector to enter the race with Man United too. This was hinted during the World Cup by the Saudi sports minister Abdulaziz bin Turki Al Said. I'm butchering these names. Apologies. What's interesting about the Manchester United process is the Rain Group's mid-February deadline, putting pressure on suitors with a view to speeding up the process and establishing credible groups. This was similar with Chelsea, albeit more urgency in that sale. Deadlines here may not be enforced. They've got until mid-February to get their deal, their offers on the table, these people. And then it's down to them whittling it down through a process. Some of those who have inquired on Man United feel they need more time before advancing anything, especially given the price the Glazers ultimately want for an outright sale. They're looking at around 8 billion that they want for Man United. And under financial fair play as well, big up my mate Keith in the chat as well. When's Daniel Ek buying Arsenal? Mate, this Daniel Ek, Keith,
that's funny that, you know.
This Daniel Ek has got $332 billion less than this group that are looking to buy Man United. Daniel Ek might just about manage to buy, I don't know, part of the training ground for Man United, like, and rejuvenate that. Yeah, but
that's a blast from the past, that name, mate. That, like,
well, he only did that to get his stocks up for Spotify.
I was going to say, it worked, yeah, 100%.
Somebody in Saeed's chat last night said Eric Ten Hag's now going to be known as Eric Ten Habibi. Bro, I was dying when I was dying when they put that in. But no, it's mad because they're looking at 8 billion, but under financial fair play, you can throw as much money into training grounds, training facilities, and all that behind the scenes. You can do whatever you want. You could throw 20 billion quid at that.
That's
and
it. It's only the signings that it impacts in it. And like,
it's all about the incomings, the outgoings, balance sheets for players' sales and wages and stuff. Yeah. That's all it's there for.
It reminds me of like when City fans, and I said this last night on the Big Six Extra, and I said, like, you know, when City fans were buzzing when they signed Haaland, and they were like, oh my God, mate, we got Haaland for like 50 million, 55 million. What an absolute steal. But not to mention the $1 million plus a week that he's probably getting, the multiple assets that's been provided
in
to
the
him.
Offshore account.
yeah. Like third parties getting involved, giving him shit. You know what I mean? You're telling me that had no impact whatsoever. Say no more. And you're rightly, like, yeah. So City's youth academy is, I think, for 2 seasons in a row now. It might be just one, but they won everything at every age group, everything. Under 21s, under 23s, under 18s, whatever the fuck, all the way to under 9s. Like, even the women's team's decent. Just the investment that they can put into it goes to show the benefit that it can have in the all-round club. And also, I do believe that, don't their owners like own multiple football clubs? Like 12 or something like that?
Yeah, they do. They own a team in America, a team in Argentina or somewhere around there, Brazil or somewhere. They own one in Australia. Yeah, they've got clubs all over the world, mate. And Chelsea are looking to do the same. And this is the thing. You can then start switching players on loan to all of these clubs. I mean, look at Chelsea with Vitesse Arnhem. I mean, it was ridiculous. Yeah. Every year, 20 players on loan to Vitesse. Like,
and what's mad about that, and it's mad because imagine being a Dutch league fan and you're competing for Europa positions or whatever, and Vitesse are there getting all of Chelsea's players that won't even be there next year. And they've just got much better squads for it. Therefore, a team who's built their club, if you want to say sincere, if you want to say more sincere, then like they're gonna miss out, and they've gone out and actually bought players that are actually their players, and they've assembled their squad opposed to just getting a full 11 of a youth academy elsewhere.
It's mad, isn't it? It's actually crazy, bro. Yeah, man said Oil Trafford as the capacity of 150k. See, this is the thing. Man United, if they doubled the size of their stadium, they'd fill that comfortably. Like, that ain't even a joke. They would fill that stadium comfortably at 150k. Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. Is it game over and curtains if they get an owner like this? Because they're already one of the richest clubs on the planet in terms of income. Like, they're up there with Real Madrid every year, regardless. Yeah, and they've been rubbish for years, mate. Like, they ain't won a trophy for 6 years. And they've been missing out on Champions League qualification over the last 10, 15 years or 10, 12 years as well. And they still pull in all of this money. It's just been mismanaged. And if they, and this is why, like, when we'll come to City in a bit, but when people are moaning about, oh yeah, we could have an extra couple of titles, Man City this, Man City that. And it's like, well, if they hadn't took 2 billion quid out of your football club, the Glazers, and invested that, they would have invested it with the right people upstairs. They would have invested it with the right playing staff, and Man City might not have ever won anything anyway. Because if Man United had done their jobs properly and run the club properly, Man United would have dominated anyway. It's mad, isn't it? But if they do get these Saudis or Qataris in, bro, I think it's curtains. I can't lie. They won't win everything every year, of course. That's not how football works. But I do think that they're not going to come here just to play around and just try and milk it, because they don't need the money. Yeah, they genuinely couldn't care less about money. Money's irrelevant. Like, they could literally drop 50 quid on the floor, and by the time they bend over to pick it up, they've made 150 back. Like,
you're right.
It's crazy. No,
you're bang on. It's just, you've just got to think about competition. And you've got to think about now other clubs who's got maximised resources, and other clubs are going to as well as time goes by. And I don't know, like, it depends how the Premier League really solve this. I think if they... Because let's be honest, they'll be all in agreement that City is seedy. Manchester City is seedy. This is something, as long as it's common knowledge that they've done shit, then that's all I care about, because at least that we've all got somewhat common sense. I'm just saying, you know, I think you can set a real precedent with City right now if you catch them for whatever it is that you caught them for, or whatever it is that they're investigating, the over 100 charges and whatever have you. I think if you catch them, then you can set a precedent there to where it's like, all right, welcome the big owners. We've let Newcastle have it. Chelsea have had it in the past. You know, now it's Manchester United being linked with it. We can allow this, but we've still got to keep a balance. We've still got to try and make it fair to a degree. And if you're not going to be able to achieve that, then the Premier League's just going to... It's already become it to a degree, but, you know, it's just going to become so unfair to where, like you said, Man United will win the league every year or whatever, or Newcastle will be in and alternate between one or two teams. But I think that's usually the case for an era anyway, and then another team will prevail. I think it's just about seeing what teams get what owners. But Newcastle are the ones for me.
When you said about keeping it fair, yeah, I want to ask you about this, because I personally think FFP should be scrapped. I think it's a joke. Yeah, and I think that if you go back to when the Premier League was first founded, the founder members, the big five, as it was back then, were Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, Everton, and Man United. They were the big five clubs that were the original top five, big five founder members. And I think all this is with Man City. Yeah, listen, they may or may not have done something wrong. I have no idea. I weren't involved in it. I don't know anything about it, really. Yeah, only what's being leaked out there. And I've got some emails I'll read out in a bit. Apparently, these emails were from 3 years ago. They were doing the rounds when they were charged by UEFA, but they've resurfaced. So I'm going to read some of them out in a bit. But I think it should be scrapped. And the reason I think FFP should be scrapped is because you've got an owner that don't invest any money into your football club. He couldn't care less, or the group couldn't care less. They brought it as a project to make money out of it when they sell it, right? And you've been successful on the pitch. You've won trophies. All 4 of the trophies available to win. You've won them over the years that they've been there. Cool. Yeah. We've got owners that couldn't care less. They tried taking money out of the club twice. That was now stopped because our fans went a bit mad. For the first time, they actually had a backbone. Yay. Yeah. And since then, they've just used our club money to boost their profits, really. That's all they've done. Then you look at Tottenham's owner. He don't care. He couldn't care less. Yep. And they're basically now putting NFL, boxing, Lady Gaga, Beyonce, WizKid all in there, making even more money out of it without really trying to win. Yeah, the same as Arsenal. And then you've got Manchester City. Then you've got the Glazers, who have taken 2 billion quid out of that football club, right? And have just literally run it into the ground in terms of the whole infrastructure and all of that. And then you've got Man City, who want to spend their own money to make their team better and more successful. They've rejuvenated the whole area. Yeah, all the community, everything. They've done everything. I've been to City's ground, all around it. It's amazing. It's unbelievable what they've done. Right? And that's seen as bad. For me personally, it should be scrapped. And the reason it should be scrapped is because when an owner wants to come into the Premier League, they should have stipulations there to say that they are going to invest and they are going to spend to try and compete. Instead, all that I think's happened is, by this happening with Manchester City, whether they get found guilty or not, I don't know. But what's happening is, oh dear, they've upset the big five. Yeah, and it's kind of a closed shop. Now Newcastle 5 years down the road, this is going to happen to them. Because if Newcastle go and be successful in the next 5, 10 years, oh no, they've upset the big five. They found the members. And I'll give you an example for I know I'm rambling a little bit here. I'll give you an example for Nottingham Forest, right? When people say it's financial fair play, where's the fairness? Yeah, that a team can only spend 75% of their income. How is a team like Nottingham Forest, whose income's extremely low compared to Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, etc., how are they ever going to be able to compete on a fair playing field and be able to compete for a title without an owner investing large sums of money into that football club to be able to make them better? So when Manchester City are doing it, that's seen as bad, that they want to try and be the best. But then owners that couldn't care less about anything other than profits, that don't want to win, don't want to invest, that's seen as that's cool, and the Premier League have welcomed them in. And the reason I think this is an ongoing thing with City is because they've gone way above the expectations. I don't think any of the Premier League, FA, and all of that expected City to just go bang, we're winning everything consistently and making a mockery out of the league by winning it every year. But what do you think about all that? Like, I heard you a little bit on the Big Six Extra. I know you were absolutely battering the City fan on there, man. Sorry, on the Big Six, it wasn't the Extra; it was the Big Six. I see you absolutely
last night was the Extra.
It was. I'm lying. It was the Big Six Extra. Yeah, it was. Go on. You came in like a wrecking ball on that as well, by the way. Literally straight in. They didn't even get the intro out.
Rightly so. Taking my fucking Premier Leagues. Nah, by the way, I just want to say that's a joke. I couldn't think of anything more pathetic than being gifted Premier League titles that you didn't win in the moment. And certainly, that's not even why I was going at City. I'm just saying, do you know what, Lee? Like, you actually have a decent point. His financial fair play is definitely flawed. I think the idea of financial fair play isn't terrible. I think if you do it the right way, how you do it the right way, simply... Do you know what? There's certain conversations where I'm happy to say it's out of my realm. I'd suggest that this is maybe out of my realm because you actually might have a point. And I don't know, like, I think from a standpoint where you mentioned about the 75% and whatever have you, you've got a point. If it's their money, why can't they go and spend it when, you know, obviously 75% to somebody else is still going to be a fuck ton of money. It'll probably be very little in comparison to their overall budget. Whereas if you, I don't know, just hypothetically make 50 million a season and you can only spend 75% of that in comparison to the team who's had 300 million, 400 million, then yeah, of course, there's a huge difference there. The only reason why I'd still apply it to City, and the reason why I still think that they should get caught out, opposed to just upsetting the big five, is that they're upsetting the Premier League. And if the Premier League want to set a precedent, then they need to make sure that they uphold or enforce these rules that they've set themselves over recent times. And these are the rules that, if have been broken, and you know what? I don't even dispute FFP's bullshit, but if they have been breaking these bullshit rules, which is very, very likely based on what we've seen statistically and the things that they've had to overcome. Not only with the Premier League, it's not only a Premier League incentive, but then look at UEFA as well. And again, you can apply that to Real Madrid and stuff like that, who are all heavily involved in that. But if they're breaking the rules for a bullshit system, and everyone else is following the rules for a bullshit system, it's kind of like saying that if John Jones, do you know John Jones, UFC champion and whatnot? Yeah. And do you remember the story about the pictogram that was in his system?
Nah, go on.
So essentially, he had like a pictogram, which is like a grain of salt, like minus 100, let's say, much smaller than a grain of salt, like half it and half it again 100 times, and that's how much worth of steroids was in his system, right? Now, some people speculated that, he might have took steroids in the past and whatever have you, but regardless, he still failed the test. That to some degree, you know, that's why UFC fans have a GOAT list of people who never got caught for steroids and people who had steroids, never had steroids. It's just a mixed list. But it's fair, and it's like, even go back to Armstrong, you know, if first place cheated, then it goes to second place. And again, I'm not saying give us the trophies. I'm just saying Manchester City winning those trophies in a time where they may have broke the rules, you have to look at that era with a massive lack of credibility. And I said it to the City fan yesterday, your era of beating Crewe Alexandra in Football League 2 is much more credible than your previous 10 years of football, if this is the case. Because you have decided to participate. Your owners decided to participate in the Premier League, where financial fair play rules are applied. you've got to play by those rules. If you didn't play by those specific rules, how can you say you are the Premier League champions? So I'm not disagreeing with you, Lee. I'm definitely saying it's flawed, but City still need to be caught out for it. And then if you want to address the issues on FFP separately, more than sound. Because do you know what?
What would you do if, like, I said this as well, like the rules for me are stupid. Yeah, but at the same time, they are the rules right now. So if they get caught doing whatever, and listen, some of the charges are ridiculous. Like the medical room for the away team was too small a dimension or something. The grass was too long. I'm not quite sure how that is an issue, because surely the grass being too long would slow the ball down. Like, how's that helping Man City? Like when they're playing tippy, I don't. A lot of the rules they've allegedly broken, it's just rubbish. Like, let's be real, but they're stacking it up for me.
They're trying to catch them for something.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to catch them for saying, so they're throwing in loads of other things to build up a case to say, well, look, they've done this, they've done this, they've done this, they've done this, they've done this. They're really bad. Yeah, but if they do get caught for what they've been alleged to have done, or even part of it, then under the rules, which I don't agree with, but under the rules, they should be relegated, and not just one division. Because I think if you relegate in one division, they'll come straight back up.
Yeah, the Swedes.
Yeah? If you take 40 points off of them, yeah, and keep them in the Premier League, well, they're still staying in the Premier League because they're a mass 80 points. So a fine ain't going to hurt them. Points ain't going to hurt them. Relegating in one division ain't going to hurt them. You have to relegate them all the way down the bottom and start again.
Relegation's the only method. The only reason why maybe to combat that argument is the current players haven't got involved in it because they're looking before 17, 18, aren't they? I think what they're going to do is maybe, if they get caught guilty, is maybe a points deduction and a fine. I think that's the worst they get. But if they can throw the book at them and they can relegate them, and then they deserve it because they've gone against their rules. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing with the rules. They've still gone against the premise. It's like if I go into a bank owned by a person I didn't like and robbed all their dough. I didn't like them, wanted money, needed money. Doesn't matter. Broke the law. Fuck off. Like, you're going to jail, you know what I mean? That's why, like, yeah, if I'm the Premier League, mate, I'm trying to slam them as well, because I do think it's blatantly obvious. Some of the shit that they've done, and I think there's a reason why they're trying to find so many things.
When they're putting out that their income is bigger than Real Madrid's, mate, that's just laughable. Like, come on. The one thing I will say, I live in Spain, obviously, yeah. I do see a lot of Manchester City and PSG shirts here, like everywhere. Yeah, I very rarely see Arsenal shirts. Like, I could go to JD Sports in the shopping centre in Fengarola. I will not see an Arsenal shirt for sale. Yeah, any sports shop, but I'll go in there. PSG is for sale, Man City are for sale. Yeah, they're everywhere. And like, obviously, this is like a touristy area where I live. The amount of people walking around, even now and all the way through the summer, with Man City and PSG shirts on is crazy. Yeah, so they are obviously selling a lot of shirts, but they're not selling more shirts than Real Madrid. Yeah, they're not getting bigger income just off of selling more shirts than Arsenal, for example, or more shirts than Tottenham or someone like. How their income is 600 million a year is kind of mad. I can't lie. And maybe that was the final straw for Man City, for the FAM, the Premier League, saying like, "Come on, we've let you take the mick for a while, but you're taking it too far."
You've got to recognise as well. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the big six that was agreed when the Premier League started was the entity of Man United, Liverpool, Everton, Arsenal, etc. But owners have changed, times have changed. Like, you know, so much has changed when it comes to the actual unity of it. I think if City are good and City are bringing in the best players in the world and they can attract the best players from the different leagues with the financial power, like, look how good Erling Haaland has been for the Premier League. You know, so many people will tune into the Premier League. That's probably why you're seeing more City shirts, probably because of someone like Haaland alone. Honestly, look at the back of the shirts when you're going out and see if that's the case, because I wouldn't be surprised if that's why, or that is what has elevated shirt sales. Erling Haaland is like a marketable superstar to a whole nother degree. He is the next, I don't know who you want to compare him to, Lewandowski, Suarez, Benzema, that type of number 9s where he's going to get those numbers. Yeah, exactly, proper goal scorer. And that's good for City, and that's good for the Premier League to have a player like Haaland. You look at French League, who are people tuning into the French League to see Mbappé. You know what I mean?
Mate, honestly, the amount of PSG shirts here is mad, and they all have either Messi, Mbappe, or Neymar on the back. Every single one. That's it. You don't see somebody strolling around with Sergio Ramos on the back. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though he's the top player, it's always Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi.
Shout out to Balogun, and he's balling out at the moment, but you never see anyone wearing the Balogun shirt, do you? You know what I mean, lads?
It's true, man. It's true. It's
It's
mad,
just
but yeah, it's crazy, man. And the funny thing about it is like I've seen Arsenal fans saying, yeah, that happy day is Dockham points. We're going to win the league, bro. This is going to go on for at least a year, I reckon, or until the end of this calendar year, perhaps.
Oh yeah, it's not getting sorted
it's taken
now.
4 years to get to this point.
It's not getting
It's
sorted
not going to
now.
be done like that.
No. It's not going to affect the short term. Arsenal fans need to. But you're winning the league, but you won't need a point deduction. Like, you won't need a point deduction. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. City are just not good at the moment. They are really, really shit. And again, like, people seem to think I always, like, when I say another team shit, they seem to think I'm saying, like, we're good. Like, Liverpool are good. This is a separate conversation.
It's almost like you're not allowed to have a go at another team because you're not good at the minute.
This is what it is. This is what it is, all right? This is the analogy if I can execute it properly. Okay, I like pancakes. Why don't you like waffles? That's a completely different sentence. That's a completely different. I never even mentioned waffles. I just said I like pancakes. It's like when I said I prefer Mane to Salah. Oh, so you don't like Salah? Whoa.
Yeah, it's always like, why does there have to be a counter to it? Like...
Whoa. Why is there like a deeper meaning to everything? Yeah, mate. Like, I don't even have a clue what the point I was gonna make there. Do you know when you're like about to make a point and then it just shoots out your head? You wouldn't think I do this for a living, would you, Lee? I just saw a few of the comments and it just sent me off guard. But yeah, whatever I was saying, it was probably bullshit anyway.
No, it's cool, man. Listen, big up to everyone watching, man. Smash the like button up. Make sure you sub to James's channel as well. The link is in the title, people. There is over 1,250 of you watching this, so make sure you do it now. But I do want to read these emails out very quickly. I'm not going to read the full email. I'm just going to read the thread with the main point off of these emails. There's about, how many is there? There is a 6, 7, 8, 9. See, it just goes on forever. 11-page thread. So I'm not going to read all the emails out because we'll still be here at about 5 o'clock tonight. But I just want to read out what this guy's put out there. It's a guy. So these emails were, somebody in the chat told me this. I didn't know this. These emails are being put out there as new evidence, new leaked emails, when apparently they were out there 3 years ago. And the Court of Arbitration for Sport threw them out as not as evidence. So, you know, everyone's going to be jumping on this like I did. Yeah, saying new evidence, when really it's not. It's just recycled evidence being dressed up as new evidence because nobody can remember this is evidence 3 years ago. Which is kind of clever journalism, I suppose. Anyway, the next time Manchester City fans mention innocence, etc., remind them upon there's pages upon pages that show otherwise. Here's a quick explainer on some of them. This is an account called Adam Joseph _ it's 4 underscores in a row on Twitter. Like this, which is rerouting money through multiple companies rather than direct from Abu Dhabi United Group. The next one, he says, here's Graham Wallace mentioning to Simon Pearce, Manchester City will need to demonstrate commercial income from multiple partners, in this case, 4. So rather than being sent in a lump sum from Abu Dhabi, it needs to be sent from elsewhere to avoid being caught depositing owner equity. Graham and Simon at it again with 67 million needing to be distributed via multiple tranches, in this case, bank accounts and dates, so they can be identified as commercial funding rather than what it is, more owner equity. Andy gets a turn requesting from Simon that 42 million be paid through the Etihad and Etisalat and be routed through them as previous auditors to avoid any questions about which channels they're coming from. Here's some straight up collusion in accounting fraud, according to this guy, as this relates to owner investment. That's why they are looking to exclude sponsor funding from the accounts that they are distributing. So they are providing one set of accounts externally that do not match the actual accounts. This isn't as drastic as the others, but it has made me laugh reading it, he says. Simon, we need to be cleaner than this. When we make a mistake like this, we need to clean it immediately. Otherwise, it'll complicate things down the line, which will make my life difficult, it says in the email. George, Jorge, welcome to the party. This is a guy called Jorge's email. Excuse me. Cleaning up the accounts here, basically making it clear that the sponsor money was due and the Abu Dhabi Investment Fund needed it up front for a bill of 50.5 million. So it looks like Abba and Etisalat took the fund. Looks like they are funding the things, just like sugar daddies. He's saying. I don't know what that means, if I'm honest. When you are colluding to get a state-owned fund through as sponsorship, you want to make sure that you're on the same page. Got to get that money from ADUG into City Football Group correctly. Good job, Jorge Simon, and come down Ferran Soriano, who I think he's their money man at City.
This is mad.
Mate,
this is
this
like
is
a drama
crazy,
show.
isn't it? It is crazy. I can't lie. Then there's another one, a golden nugget. I don't think I've seen many talking about, but in 2015, an email from Jorge to Simon and Ferran mentions full payment for Pogba transfer in August instead of 50% or higher transfer. ADUG always there to help out. And then the guys tagged Paul Pogba and put, "What's all this then, Paul Pogba?" What's this about Pogba, bro? Let me read that again. Like,
are they doing the joke? Are they doing the joke where they involve Pogba, even though Pogba's got nothing to do with it? Like, what has Paul Pogba got to do with all of this? You know what I mean? That's mad, bro. Is there more emails?
Crazy. Then there's one more, two more. How come on? Hey, come on now, everyone. He's put Manchester City were getting sponsorship after all. 67.5 million Etihad deal wasn't all funded by Abu Dhabi. 8 million is coming from Etihad. That's not too bad. That'll pay Erling Haaland for about 2 months.
Oh my god.
You then with the final one, put evidence for days. Got to make sure sponsors money via ADUG is coming in. They'll give us plenty of detail. I know we don't necessarily need the money. No shit, Andy. That's what he put in the emails. He said, anyway, that's plenty. If you enjoyed it, give it a retweet or a like. 11 pages of emails. You can read more here, and it's got a link. Now, somebody reliably informed me in the chat earlier that all of these emails were put to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and they were thrown out as not evidence 3 years ago. But like I said, they're going to be seen and all over the internet, and I fell for it because I thought it was new evidence as well, because I didn't look into that Court of Arbitration for Sport evidence 3 years ago. So everyone's going to have a field day with this new evidence.
But if it's been thrown out before, it literally means fuck all. And if you're a lawyer representing City, that is all you can say. Well, why would it be thrown out before, and why is there any substance to it now? That's not even going to get brought
up. Why
up.
would the Premier League be able to make it stick when UEFA couldn't?
That's not even going to get brought up. That's if anyone tried to use that as the evidence, that is purely a pure demonstration of people just trying to get clicks. Just trying to get clicks off old information. That means absolutely nothing. Like, but don't get me wrong, it might add to the legitimacy of there being something corrupt going on, and if City don't get caught, then it can still add to the speculation. Because we all know corruption's a thing. We were saying it on the show yesterday. It's like, all right then, just let me throw out the name Epstein, and that's all I'm going to say. And then you
mate,
can
I nearly spat my coffee everywhere, mate. I was crying.
You can, but you're on it though, Lee. Like we act like you're always follow the narrative, but come on.
But the thing is, somebody put a comment in when I was doing the show with Rance yesterday, saying corrupt men, calling out other corrupt men for being corrupt. That's like kind of the realest thing I've ever seen.
No, it's so true though. It's so true. Like, everyone's bell ends, you know what I mean? I'm kind of getting to a point where I'm just like, do you know what? I'm on the same page as Lee. Just let everyone do a free for all fuckery. Let everyone just
Rance
do it.
Came up with a good point yesterday. He said, what you should do,
he say?
Is tell every single club in the Premier League, like owners of the Premier League, that they have to invest or can invest up to 400 million every single year. So they can spend up to 400 million every year. That way, my club that I know's got money, your club, I don't know what your finances are saying with your club, but I know my club have definitely got money. And then if my club go out there and only do 50 million, now they can be held accountable. And say, well, hang on, we've got 400 mil to spend. Players are available. Why have you only bought 50 million? And then that also helps teams like Forest, Brighton, Brentford, to be able to fly up the table. And be able to actually compete better. If you're Nottingham Forest, right? Nottingham Forest went out there and spent a lot of money in the summer. Fair play to them, because he's actively trying to make his football club more successful. Yeah, but when you've got somebody like Brighton who's just sitting there selling all his best players every year, making an absolute fortune out of it, and then not reinvesting all of it, sorry, that ain't good enough. Yeah, you're just basically getting rich out of buying players cheap and selling them for more. Yeah, well, what's the point in you being here? You ain't won a trophy for 121 years. Like,
Yeah.
Brighton ain't won nothing. Yeah, so for them, like, he's just happy taking money. He ain't interested about competing. Well, surely the Premier League would want more teams competing to make it more exciting to get more income. But I don't get it. I don't get it, bro.
That could be a good shout. I feel like there'd be a few issues there, though. I'm trying to think it through in my head. Like, that sounds just like really, really good on the surface, but I feel like if you just got into it, I don't know. I feel like you'll get into a few issues the same way that we are right now. So, who cares? Anyway.
This comment's funny. Stop cussing Brighton. That's where you made your name in management. Graham Potter settings.
Yeah, Graham Potter.
When he gets sacked from Chelsea, yeah, where's he going to go? Because he will get sacked next season if they're not in the title race. Where will he end up? Probably Southampton. Yeah, no,
it's actually a good. It's a decent shout. I don't know. I think a top team.
Maybe
Tottenham
still
wouldn't mind.
Tottenham, maybe
for the long term project. They like a Chelsea manager as well. Why not?
Yeah, and the fact that they don't really spend much money and he can find gems.
Yeah. To be honest,
maybe.
I said before he joined Chelsea that if Klopp ever somehow went, I wouldn't mind Graham Potter, but. He's a very good manager, and I still uphold that he's a good manager. I just think that Thomas Tuchel's better. So if him and Thomas Tuchel was available and Klopp went, I wouldn't want any of those two over Klopp. But if them two were available and Klopp went and Klopp was gone, I'd get Tuchel. I'd be happy with Tuchel.
You've done a seamless link there because I was going to ask you about Klopp next.
I had a feeling.
You've done this before, isn't it? You obviously got absolutely slapped by Wolverhampton Wanderers, the lowest scorers in the league, scored 3. Your manager was having a full meltdown after the game, refusing to ask questions, refusing to count the third goal. I see Wolves repost the final score as 2-0, not 3-0. That is elite banter from Wolves, by the way. Yeah, but is it time? I know I asked you this every time you come on recently, yeah, but is it time? Because he looks broken, man. He looks like it's done. Like, he is so stressed. And he looks out of ideas. And listen, let's be real here. You can blame players, you can blame injuries, you can blame the ownership, you can blame anything. Yeah, none of them things stopping Jurgen Klopp doing his job. Like, he's still got to set up a team. He's still got to set up a formation and a tactics. He's still got to do in-game tactics. Still got to make subs. He's still playing players that have been playing crap. Mohamed Salah. Yeah, why is Mohamed Salah exempt from
who plays instead?
Oh, that's down to the manager. But if you're playing a player, yeah.
No, I'm asking you. Nah, I'm asking you, Lee, who plays instead? I'm just asking you because you're right. Someone else should be playing. I'm just asking you who plays instead.
I have no idea, bro.
Okay, then do you want me to tell you who our backup right winger is?
Go on.
Do you know who Ben Doak is? Ben Doak. No, Lee, I'm not taking the piss. Don't laugh.
Could he?
No, don't laugh. No, don't laugh. Do you know who Ben Doak is?
I don't know who he is, but I've seen him play once, yeah.
Yeah, no goals or no assists in his entire career. A 16-year-old Scotsman who signed from Celtic, never made a first-team appearance for Celtic. He's got more appearances for Liverpool than what he had for Celtic. And that is the solution. That is not a manager problem. That is an ownership problem.
Yeah, but could he do any worse, bro? Like, Salah's been awful.
No, but Lee, I don't think you're getting the point. I get what you're saying, and change is that. But come on, Ben Doak is 16 years of age. He is 16 years of age. He has no goals or assists. I'm not saying that Salah should be starting and whatnot. If we had a very decent right winger that sound, but who else is playing? Okay, then some would recommend Harvey Elliott because he used to be a right winger. I'm not even just going to slide out of it easy. I'll challenge myself on this point because I think it's fair.
Yeah, you know your club better than I do, bro. Like, you know the players better than me.
He's been playing in midfield all season. Where's another part of the pitch where we've got problems? Midfield. And he's been probably one of the better performers. More consistent, and he still hasn't been great, but I'll tell you what, his 6 out of 10s and odd 7 out of 10 performances have been better than Henderson's 4s or Fabinho's 3s out of 10s.
It shouldn't be there either, by the way. Henderson.
Exactly. Oh, mate, it's crazy to me. Fabinho was actually.
But do you think this, like, this is going to be the end for Klopp this season? Like, I don't think they'll sack him. But
In
do you
fact, it
think that
might.
at the end of,
It,
do you think
it,
at the end
it,
of the season he's going to sit there and say, "Do you know what? Enough's enough. I'm out of it."
No, I don't think that won't happen. I can actually, I'll bet everyone that won't happen. He looks pissed and he looks aggy, but that won't happen. Him leaving for whatever reason, whether it's getting sacked or the fans turn on him, that's something I won't dispute. But I won't be one of them. I won't be one of them, man. I need to see a longer case study for Klopp to
But
suggest
do you
that
think the
he's the
fans
main
are turning
problem.
on him though? Because I've seen a lot of your fans.
Yeah.
I see Grizz the other night saying, "No, he shouldn't be sacked. Like, look at what he's done for the club." This is almost like, and I've seen a lot of your fans that create content online say the same. Look at what he's done for the club and that, bro.
I never say that.
No, I know.
That.
But this is why I wanted to get your thoughts on it with the rest of the fans, like majority, because you go to games as well, so you get the vibe in the ground, as well as online. Yeah, and we went down this slippery slope with Arsene Wenger of, but look at what he's achieved previously, and sentiment ended up putting us a decade behind everyone else. Yeah, now we're slowly catching back up again. Yeah, and Liverpool, they were right up there, nearly won a quadruple last season. Let's not forget how good Liverpool were last season. And if they'd had a couple more players in that squad, which is an ownership issue, they probably would have won another trophy. Yeah, because they might have been able to rest a player in this game and put him in for that game and keep him fresh for the final, or for the final push for the season or whatever. Yeah. But do you think that the fans will just go with this sentiment vibe? Yeah, for another couple of seasons, because if he doesn't leave and they don't sack him, this could be Liverpool going forward for the next season or the season after as well, because you ain't going to invest big money. Your owners may still be there, and they're not looking for full sale. They're looking for either a full sale or an investment.
Fans are dumb fucks. We have a lot of stupid fans. Man United have a lot of stupid fans. Arsenal have a lot of stupid fans.
The way you said that was hilarious. Football fans are not the brightest sparks, put it that way.
Not the sharpest tool in the box, Hardy Lee. Now, here's the score. We are accumulating overall opinions and decisions, like managers leaving based on... Okay, and you mentioned a great point. A lot of fans will go off sentiment. So the ones who do defend Klopp will go off sentiment. And that is a bad reason to want to keep Jurgen Klopp. If that is your sole reason, only reason, that's a really, really bad way to look at the football club. Now, it's not bad to think of a case study like, no, but look, Klopp's done it before. If we are going through a bad patch, which, listen, it was only last season where we got to the end of all forward, like, at least let's give him a chance to rebuild. But you're right, if it goes 3 seasons, 4 seasons, and there's no improvement, then that's when it gets taking the piss. My logic, right here, right now, is identifying the main problems first. So I put things together, right? I know Jurgen Klopp isn't the main say of a man who brings in the transfers. I know that's the board of directors, right? I know he's not the one who's saying, okay, do you know what? I think we should do sell to buy. I think sell to buy would be a good model and the most efficient model to win trophies and win Premier Leagues. I think that's decent. And then people will say to me, what about what he says in press conferences? Well, how about we judge a man by his character? He doesn't like the media. He's openly said he doesn't like the media. I don't tune into press conferences, and Lee, you know this, because they are not sincere. They are not transparent. They are not honest. They are there for the sole premise of getting their message that they want you to receive. What they will say it in how the best way to say it, what they want to say, not what you want to hear, or not the truth. It's PR, it's media, that's what press conferences are there for. They're there to try and find the information of the football club, which is why you'll get inconsistencies. Like when he said at the start of the window, we want Tuchemani, and then at the end of the summer window, he was like, we don't want midfielders. Is that Jurgen Klopp saying that, or is that the owners? Now let's also analyse. There we go. So now let's also analyse, but Jurgen Klopp needs to knock on his door and put more pressure. Okay, so you're telling me the man who was appointed as a player, coach, and manager, and to manage the team of players on the pitch, the players allocated to him, he should go on knock on the door of FSG. And second question, why should he have to knock on the door of FSG or the board or whoever you may need to speak to if they're doing their job, if they're giving him maximum resources? And if you're deluded enough to believe everything that's being said in press conferences is the exact same to what's being said in board meetings and stuff like that, to me, it kind of shows you're probably thick as pig shit. And that's fine, because you don't have to devote everything to Liverpool and football, but it's when you say your opinion so definitively. So when people say, Jurgen Klopp needs to go, well, what about these owners? Because before Jurgen Klopp came, we had Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers went to Leicester, won trophies there with their ownership, won fuck all with us. and that was under the same Michael Edwards, who everyone was devastated about when Michael Edwards left the club because Mane, Salah, this, that. That's why everyone was sad when he left, because everyone knows that he was the main part of bringing in certain players. Jurgen Klopp would identify, like, can I fit it into the system? Yeah, maybe. But it's still the sole key. So when he leaves, people forget, like, he signed Markovic, Ricky Lambert, Mario Balotelli, Dejan Lovren, all these type of players. And then, of course, Jurgen Klopp comes in. And let's be honest, I just think he got these players in a specific team, in a specific structure, singing off a specific hymn sheet. Because Mohamed Salah, before Liverpool, never had a right to even be called world class. Like, never. Not even close. You know, a lot of players, everyone in our team, I'd say everyone, besides Thiago, came into Liverpool, not a world class player. If you can find me one, then fair enough. But Thiago's the only one.
Bro, you're spot on. You didn't buy any world-class players. Yeah, the only...
So, is that a Klopp problem?
That you had, you sold to Barcelona, Coutinho.
There we go. Okay. Now let's look at that case study.
Suarez before that.
So let's look at that case study. So when Suarez went, we went and bought like all of the signings that we did: Mario Balotelli, Emre Can, all those players. Some worked, some didn't, and whatever have you. That was where we spent the most money, and we got loads of players when Suarez went. Okay, Coutinho money. That was what really done us the job. It allowed us to get the resources, and thankfully all the players worked out and they fit into the system correctly that Klopp wanted to build. Since then, we haven't had a big asset to sell. That's a huge lack of preparation from the board. It's not just about the players that you bring in and then working out and getting them for good deals. It's also about making sure you keep those same players for the right amount of time. Let them go for something that's still profitable, where you've probably got the best out of their career, or you've got at least the quality that's still benefited you over recent times. It's elevated your club, and now you can maximise the profits. And now I'm seeing a Liverpool Football Club where they're going to probably get nothing for Fabinho, get nothing for Van Dijk, get very little for Mohamed Salah in comparison to what you could have got for him last year. Like, I just don't understand the correlation between, Mohamed Salah's been linked with PSG as well. You can go and get 40, 50 million there. But if you've got Van Dijk, Fabinho, all these players who are leaving for free, the same way Gini left for free after the service he committed to the club, that's not good business, especially if you're a sell-to-buy model. If you're sell-to-buy model and you're not selling players for anything, that makes no sense. And we haven't got an elite academy, so we don't get multiple assets out of there either. It's got better over years, and there's players there like Ryan Brewster sold for 20, Nico Williams and stuff like that got sold. But it's still not majorly impressive, so I'll be honest, Lee, the point is that there's way more problems before Jurgen, and my reasons for keeping Jurgen is because I don't think there's anyone else who can maximise, the resources given by this board the way Jurgen Klopp can. I'm not saying Thomas Tuchel isn't a good manager. I'm not saying Graham Potter isn't a good manager. I just don't think they maximise these resources, as well as Jurgen Klopp. That's it. And if Jurgen Klopp goes, get one of them. Fine, but he's not gone, so you might as well just keep him and identify the main problems first.
Mate, this is a great comment as well. You should have sold Salah when he was being tipped for 120 million. Yeah, because then you could have put that money back in like you did with Coutinho money. Yeah, and I know Scousers would have gone nuts about Salah going. Yeah, but it's always good in hindsight now when he's having a shit season that you say, yeah, we could have, should have, didn't. But at the same time, that is what Liverpool did with Suarez. Liverpool did with Coutinho, and that is why they were able to go out there and buy Van Dijk and Alisson with the Coutinho money. Yeah. And them two signings alone made you so much better. Yeah, and then clever business, going and buying Salah for 26 mil, Mane for 26 mil, whatever it was, 24 mil. And then them two. How much did you get rid of Mane for? How much was that?
40.
I mean, come on, 40 mil. Wow. But he run down his contract, didn't
he? Yeah, he was going into his last year.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's not too bad.
Nah, it was actually an alright deal, that. It was actually, for the fact he was, nearly 30 plus and whatever have you. 40 mil isn't even that bad year left. But there's a point where you could have got more for just one of the... It's the fact there's not one asset we've got right now that goes for 100 million. There's not one. The only ones is the ones that have just joined us. Like Luis Diaz, maybe if Real Madrid came for him in the summer and he has a good end to the season, maybe there's a way we can bullshit 80 million or something, but that's not going to happen. Luis Diaz is a part of the long-term project, so really you've got no assets. that you're willing to sell. And for a sell-to-buy model, that's a concern. For the team that's 10th, that's a concern. That's a massive concern for the short term and the long term. So, listen, mate, okay, get rid of Klopp and then what? The ownership stays the same, the model stays the same. Then what happens?
If Klopp did leave, who would
Yeah.
you want as manager?
Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah, I think
Just-
he'd be a good fit as well because he'd
just
give you
right
an
now-
instant impact.
Yeah, but no, it's still not. It's still, he'd fall out with FSG. He'd fall out with FSG.
Yeah,
he fell
he
out with the
probably would.
Dortmund CEO. He falls out with a lot of the ownership.
Fell out with
The
PSG
ownerships.
as well, didn't he? So
Didn't
yeah.
end well with Chelsea from the looks of it as well. Yeah, I think that's just very much putting a plaster on a massive wound. I think like Thomas Tuchel could come in, push us for Europa League, but I just think you get a lot more benefits keeping Klopp and just trying to ride through with him. Let him see out his contract until 2026 and then see what happens after that. I just think it makes no sense to sell him. I mean, I'm open to but no one's gave me one reason to why there's a benefit of letting Jurgen Klopp go. Not one.
You might just get an instant upturn. Yeah, because
And what does that really give us? What does that give us? Just instant impact? What does that give us in the long term?
Maybe European football, because you might not be in Europe.
What does that give us?
Well, nothing, because you ain't spending it. You ain't spending the money.
No, but tell me, what do we do after that? What do we go and kick on and do? What's the achievements? What's the trophies that we get? This is a club that won. Yeah, since 2006, the only trophies we've won was a League Cup. Up until Jurgen Klopp came in.
That's great.
We didn't start getting to finals of competitions like the League Cup and the Europa League when Jurgen Klopp came in. Like, what? Okay, so Thomas Tuchel is just going to come in and give us one little season of decent footy and then maybe push us for top four, and then he goes, and then we bring in another manager, and then that goes to shit, and then he goes. Or we can invest into a man who, okay, granted, he hasn't rebuilt a team, but he built Mainz, he built Dortmund, he built Liverpool. That's 3 different teams that he's built. Why can't he build Liverpool 2.0 if you want to separate it like that? Why can't he build Liverpool 2.0? I'm just saying you've got a case study there of a manager who's maximised these...
There's no evidence to suggest that he could do that because he's never done it.
Absolutely there is. Yes, he has. He might have not rebuilt at one team, but he still built a team. Why can't you build a team again? And the best case study is that he's built a team.
A team twice at the same club. He's never rebuilt it.
But he still built a team at multiple different clubs. It's not like he's just had one good club and one good era. The case study that I think far outweighs that is he's built a good team under these resources. A team that couldn't have been built under Brendan Rodgers. A team that, like, listen, FSG they got a gem in Jurgen. They're not going to let him go themselves unless, like, the fans really turn against them. I don't think it'll get to a point where he leaves at the end of the season, but I think it's a slight possibility.
Like, this comment's hilarious. Thomas Tuchel have put Salah at right wing back.
No, Thomas Tuchel's a good manager. He's a good manager. I think he'd be good for us, but he's not Jurgen Klopp. And I'm sure the Dortmund CEO would agree.
No, that's mad. All right, listen, this hour's flown real quick as well, but we are going to end this in a second, people. Make sure you sub to James's channel. There's still 1,200 people inside. Big up to everyone who's watching on Facebook as well. Make sure you stick a like on the video. I'll be back again at 5 o'clock. Arsenal have put their season ticket prices up 5 to 6%, and they've taken 4 games off of the season ticket. Trust the process. The Premier League allow that. That's fine. That's no drama. More profits for Stanley Kroenke. That's after, by the way, they put the price up 4% this season.
Wow.
So the price went up 4% this season. Next season, it's going up 5 to 6%, depending on where you sit in the stadium. And they're taking 4 games off. And apparently, that's because of the demand for tickets. And they're going to have 150,000 extra tickets available now because of taking them 4 games off. And they've blocked 100 bot accounts that just keep buying up tickets to resell. Okay, mate. Yeah, good one. That is not the reason they've put the prices up or the reason they've took 4 games off the ticket. But what do I know? I'm negative and toxic. But make sure you sub to James's channel. The link's in the title. We're going to end on this question from Chike. Big up for the donation. He said, trivia question, James. Name 3 players to score a Premier League hat-trick at Anfield. Also, what's the most reasonable outcome? We've said about the Man City one, GK, already, bro. But yeah, 3 players who have scored a Premier League hat-trick at Anfield. I know one of these.
Arshavin.
Arshavin. I know. Oh, actually, I know two. Then does this mean players that
Martinelli.
have scored? No, I know two. Trossard
Oh shit,
this
yeah.
season. So there's two. But does this have to be
Um,
just opposition players, or is this because you could put loads of players in? I think he means opposition players because
nah, it
otherwise
will be.
Suarez would be on the list. Peter Crouch scored a hat trick against us.
It will be. It'll be opposition players. And Martinelli was in the League Cup as well, I think. Okay, so, so Trossard. Who's the other one I said?
Arshavin.
Arshavin. And then, I'm trying not
Trossard,
even look at the.
Arshavin.
I'm trying not to look at the chat
Man
as well.
said
I'm actually
Peter
trying to answer
Unlove.
this.
Peter Unlove.
If that's the guy, then yeah, mate. We phased.
That
Was
would
2
have been,
goals.
that's a throwback, man. That would have been Coventry City years ago. When was the last time Coventry were in the big boy league?
I don't even know who that is, lad. So that'll tell you. That'll tell you.
Mate,
how
I
how
actually
that
met
was.
right around the corner from here, just before Christmas. Yeah, one of my pals came out for a week, and we was having a drink in one of the bars down the road, and we actually met one of the top boys from Coventry. He's one of the board of directors at Coventry, yeah. But he's an Arsenal fan, and the Arsenal players back in the day used to have the Tuesday club where they would all go out drinking and that. Bro, this guy was at Lee Dixon's wedding as best man, right? And was the only non-football player allowed to the Tuesday club. Yeah, mate, me and my mate were like, as he's telling us all these stuff, I was like, shut up, was you at Dixon? He said, yeah, no, sorry, Dixon was the best man at his wedding. Yeah, I was like, shut up, man, you're chatting rubbish. Yeah, and he busted out all the pictures. Older guy he was in his 60s, this fella. He was showing us all the pictures. I was like, nah, this is mad. Yeah, but he's like one of the directors at Coventry. Yeah, so Peter Unlove's just thrown that story in my head.
Nah, that's mad. And what is also, like, when you go to Liverpool, one thing that you tend to notice, like, I'll go into just some random pub that's owned by a fella who used to work for the Liverpool board of directors when FSG came in, for instance, and he'll tell me about, like, how they structure the club and how they look at players and whatever have you. And I remember and then he was telling me even about the pitch, about the fact that to the sides of the pitch kind of dips, so the players can pass the ball in a certain way, basically. And also going towards the Cop end, the pitch slants.
Yeah, Highbury used to do that. Yeah, Highbury used to do that.
Yeah,
so
like, because then
when you're putting the ball
quicker.
into the penalty box on a shot,
and the players are running up the hill. It's actually like, it's kind of fucking illegal when you think of it like that. It's strategic, you know what I mean?
I mean, there'd be sanctions on that now.
Yeah, don't tell the Premier League. Don't tell the Premier League. No, but like, even just those little key details from people who have been in those higher positions, they're the things that I'm really interested in, because then you can formulate your opinions differently. You can have a different perception of your football club, what they're capable of, what they're not capable of. And when I was like saying, oh, we need to go and compete every season, I just weren't aware of our resources in comparison to other teams' resources or whatever. And I used to think resources was just transfer budget, was just money. Like, I used to kind of look at it like career mode on FIFA. You're like, just go and buy whoever you want, and if you don't get them, then you just shit houses. But it's like, now when you learn more about it, it's crazy. And also you'll find out stories all the time. Like, if you meet a middle-aged woman, like let's say a woman between like her 40s and 50s, right, or maybe even 50s and 60s, I would suggest 20% of them have an experience with a former Liverpool player. Like a scouser, you know what I mean? It's funny, you know, like, I got in a taxi with a woman the other day, and she was talking to me about how she used to, like, go round to Robbie Fowler's and that, and just like chill with them and whatnot, and obviously do their thing. And just hearing those stories, like, even like when they used to go out and whatnot, and some of the shit that they get up to, but they wouldn't get caught because there was no cameras or nothing like
cameras,
that.
Yeah, no camera phones in them days, mate. You can do whatever you want.
It sounds a belter to be a footballer back in the day, just from like a crazy aspect, a not giving a fuck aspect. It sounded like the best era to be a footballer was definitely a good few years ago opposed to today. Probably sounds shit now.
Yeah, man. The 90s, the 90s was the best for music and the best for football. Yeah, and like everything since then has been diluted, really, isn't it? But it is what it is. What you got coming up, man?
I have coming up. We've got the derby this weekend, so there'll be content around that.
Oh, it never rains, it pours.
We're getting Sean Dyche. We're getting Sean Dyche.
Your brand?
Yeah.
Mate,
people say atmosphere, but
an easy start then. Really, he's at Arsenal, and his next game's the derby. That's mad.
Yeah, but I reckon he'll win it. You know, I reckon Everton will get some. And I think they'll at least draw. I don't see us getting a win. No way.
Mate, if they play like they did against us, then you're in trouble, mate. Yeah, because they should have beaten us 3 or 4-0. They should have been 2 or 3-0 up at half time. Yeah, and the way they defend, mate, he's banned gloves and hats at the training ground. Yeah, and all the players were like literally ready to throw up after the bleep tests and that. Like, bro, he's got them running in the
No, lads,
cold, no gloves. Brexit ball
the,
is back in the Premier League.
if you watch Everton, like I've watched Everton a good few times this season, and the players didn't look like they were fighting for the manager. It's crazy to see the change just with Sean Dyche coming in. And the good thing is as well is Sean Dyche is actually better for what Everton are than what they had before in Frank Lampard. It's just Sean Dyche is better than in every aspect. They brought in Frank Lampard to do what Sean Dyche has done best throughout his career.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they never brought in Frank Lampard to win them trophies and whatever have you. They brought him in to do what Sean Dyche has done his whole career, and now they've actually got the tried and tested and the proven manager in Sean Dyche. And I think it's a good appointment. I think even if it's just a 2-year appointment where he just gets you to 12th or 10th, and then you want to make a new plan with a new manager who can help you kick on, fair. But in the meantime, with the Sean Dyche appointment, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, man, 100%. They ended your 68 unbeaten run as well at home, Burnley. So yeah, crazy. All right, listen, big up to everybody who's watched, man. Make sure you sub to James's channel. The link is in the title. Let's see if there's anyone live that I like. We can send you all over there. There's still 1,000. Oh, Saeed's live. There you go. Let me get Saeed's links. One sec. They're obviously going to be buzzing with all the talk of new ownership and that. Let me get the link for Saeed's channel. Go and spam Saeed's channel with rat emojis. Lee Gunner sent me. Yeah. Just watch his chat light up. But yeah, I'll be back again in 2 hours, 45 minutes or so, roughly. Maybe, yeah, about 3 hours. I'll be back. And then I'm on with Goonie tonight as well. So make sure you come and check that out on his channel, Man Knows Football. But yeah, until then, we're out of here, people. Saeed's links in the chat. Adios, amigos.
Peace, peace.